Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making it. My name is Arbonne, and on my channel we talk about Black businesses, artists, entertainment, and information. And today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite things. You already know, as a part of the anti-MLM community, I don't like MLMs. Shocker. I don't like when Black people get scammed, taken advantage of, and their money taken from them. Call me crazy. So I've done plenty of videos. I've done some deep dives on iamccsuarez, the FOREX MLM, the TMLM, on a bunch of them, ones that specifically target the Black community. And I just recently posted videos about Bint, the Blessings in No Time blessing loom, which is a scam, a scam. And they are currently in a lawsuit. So if you would like to go check out any of those videos, the last two ones I did were drinking games where I drink and I read the reviews that are on the Better Business Bureau website. And we have like a fun little game over there. So that's really exciting. If you'd like to go check those other videos out, I'm sure you'll love them. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel. It helps me out a lot and we can be besties. And like the video, leave a comment, do all of that. If you have any other weird, scammy businesses you'd like me to look into, or anything, dare I say, positive. Dare I say positive, because it seems as though people are obviously much more interested, like I'm super interested, that's why I make all the videos about it, on all the different scams and manipulation tactics and all kinds of things that are happening to take advantage of the Black community. But if you have anyone that you would like to shout out, Black businesses, like I said, artists, entertainment, or information that you would like me to talk about and share, then I would love to hear it. I've got also plenty of other videos about my favorite Black creators, Black brands, just all kinds of stuff. So like I said, make sure that you are subscribed and let's jump right into it. Trying to cross my legs, so I have this little spooky glass, little dollar store spooky glass. So get your wine or get your apple juice or get a snack, get some cheese puffs, and we are going to read this blog post. Now granted, I will tell you that the name of the person who has the blog post, their name is there, and like, you know, a little bit of information about them is there, but I wasn't able to find them on Instagram to like let them know that I was going to be reading this, or like ask them if I can read it. I mean, it is like posted publicly to this website. The title is "My MLM Was Racist." Is that it? Yeah, the title is "My MLM Was Racist," and it was posted April 6th, 2020, so it's still relatively recent. It was last year. And I just basically say all of that to say that in a perfect world, I would have been able to find this person, reach out to them, confirm with them that it was okay to share their story. But they did share their story. It's already online, but I would like to just double check. So if you know this person, or if you are this person, and you don't want this story out there, I will just take it down. No problem. I've got like 4 subscribers, like we'll be fine. But I do think it is really good because we often talk about the boss babes, the hey girls, the girl bosses, and they're just like these like little white girls in hats, and they're just the hun bots, and they are, you know, like just trying to get people, recruit them. And we talk a lot about their manipulation tactics and the cult-like behavior that happens within MLMs, but we often don't talk about how systemic oppression affects the way that those people act. And if you do a little bit of like digging, do a little bit of research, then you can see how one of the biggest and one of the most popular MLMs, Amway, has a long history of, you know, being founded by basically about being a bunch of conservative, Trump-supporting racists who conveniently are also scammers. You mean to tell me that the people who are scam artists, scam people who are scamming other people, are also racist? You mean to tell me that the money-hungry scam artists are also racist? I'm shocked. Honestly, who could have seen this coming? I mean, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. So I don't see that many people talk about it, so that is what we're going to be bringing to the table today. Can I just say that in the little like bio, so the person who wrote this, their name is Regina. It says Mexican-American, Chicagoan, Gen X, relishes questions of human behavior, nobody's mother and nobody's wife. Period. And I appreciate that, because you know how it's always like in people's bio, it's like so-and-so's wife, so-and-so's mom. It's like, no, I'm not anybody's wife and I'm not anybody's mom. I'm a person and I have rights. Motherfuckers. I'm already off to a great start. Okay, spoilers, Regina was with Arbonne. The title, My MLM Was Racist. Subtitle, I left an MLM because of the culture as much as the bad business model. I mean, okay, sure. I'm a failure as a multi-level marketer. This failure happened with Arbonne International, a multi-level marketing company, in parentheses, MLM, but is also called network marketing, for which I was a quote-unquote consultant for about 5 months in 2014. You might already have heard of how exploitative MLMs are and how they rely on recruiting new sellers more than on selling product. Here's the Chicana experience I had. I'm just so scared already. I'm so scared. I don't want to see it. Your typical body care product goes from the manufacturing plant to a warehouse to a distributor to the customer, increasing in price at each step. Arbonne cut out most of those parts of the chain and has their consultants sell directly to consumers. And that would be fine if most of the money came from consumers in exchange for products. Spoilers, it doesn't. But according to Jane Marie in season 1 of the Dream podcast, MLMs are just one step up from pyramid schemes. Pyramid schemes, which were big in the US in the late 1970s and 80s, required participants to constantly bring new people into the pyramid. The new people gave money to the current participants, and the new people only got money when they brought in even newer people. In a pyramid scheme, there is no product. It's just a bunch of money going around that mostly benefited the people who joined earliest. Pyramid schemes were outlawed in the 1980s. Now, this is my own thing to say here is I don't, I guess, whatever, like that opinion, facts are fine. That is true. Pyramid schemes are illegal. However, so is crack and so is and all of those other things that people do on a daily basis and don't have any consequences for. So, the law is really like the strongest thing we can have. It's like, no, actually, no. But we'll read on. Arguably, Arbonne isn't a classic pyramid scheme because there's an actual product bought by some people who aren't Arbonne consultants. But there's a definite emphasis on recruiting new consultants, and the woman who trained me made no secret of that. I'll call her M. When I learned that the real Arbonne money didn't come from selling, but from constantly throwing a net to get others to join underneath me, my heart sank. Unfortunately, I was already $1,000 in the hole from buying the skincare products M said I needed to get started. Oh, here we go. Ciao. I need to drink already. So, if anyone cares to know, I am drinking Moscato Sangria. It's good, tastes like juice, and we love it. Drink responsibly if you're over 21. M was so brightly optimistic about my future, I didn't realize it was going to be several months before I made that 1,000 back, and even longer to earn net profit. I'm a very social person and I have a lot of friends, but even I didn't have dozens of people to pitch to who would pay $18 for shampoo. So I ended up buying a good amount of my own product. I feel like, let me just save my thoughts to the end, because I can't. The need to recruit was bad enough, but Arbonne also had a culture I didn't fit into. Arbonne was, and still is, very white. In 2014, their makeup had a few options for dark-skinned people, and their promotional material had almost 100% white faces. That's changed, but I suspect the changes are strictly cosmetic. Their meetings and training sessions were full of aggressively optimistic, young, white women who did not feel like my peers. M was also white, and I had met her years before at an Arbonne party I'd attended as a customer. The training sessions were dominated by grinning, bubbly consultants who used the word fantastic and amazing almost obsessively. No one made an attempt to get to know me beyond what my why was, in parentheses, the reason I joined Arbonne. Arbonne? Arbonne. There's no air. I'm always open to making friends, but I felt no rapport with anyone there, and none of the established consultants tried to build a bond with this newbie. But M had strong friendships there, and everyone was extremely polite to me, so I gave them the benefit of my doubt. If this business really made me money, I didn't care if it brought me friends at all. I mean, duh, that's what you call a business. Why is it that these people in these MLMs are like, this is a family, I ride or die for my MLM? It's like, why? Nobody who works at McDonald's rides for McDonald's. Nobody who works for corporate America rides for their company unless they own it. Like, no one gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. You look weird. When I noticed 2 Black women at the trainings, I made a point to exchange contact information with them. I'll call them L and T. It turned out that L and T were also new to Arbonne and were hoping it would be a strong income stream for them. I told them M had recently hit the Arbonne milestone that had earned her a new white Mercedes. If she could do it, why couldn't we? Stop, not me reading this like I am this person. I'm really getting into character. For months, L, T, and I met to boost each other's morale. We talked about the training, what we'd buy with our earnings, how our sales were going, what worked and what didn't, but we often ended up talking about how hard it all was. Arbonne insisted that consultants contact potential new customers with phone calls. No emails or texts. Even in 2014, that felt weird. There also seemed to be a specific personality that did well turning a lukewarm call into a face-to-face meeting, and we didn't feel like we had it. Like, oh my God, hi! That's how I sound like in real life. Then there were the chats I had with L and T about the Arbonne culture. The 3 of us found the white chirpiness alienating and Stepford-esque. It also seemed like the white consultants had better connections that got them Arbonne parties with the women who would gladly spend $18 on shampoo, $40 on a bottle of supplements, and $100 on facial moisturizer. Who did we know like that? No one. It felt like there was a staircase that M and her white peers had access to, but that T, L, and I didn't. I hoped the training sessions and tips would make up for the Gold Coast acquaintances I didn't have, but months went by and my business didn't pay off. Then M told me about the Arbonne annual conference. It was the highlight of the Arbonne year, and she swore that if I attended this conference, it would change my business. She made it sound like it was also the best time anyone could possibly have, in Las Vegas, with the unveiling of new Arbonne products and hundreds of consultants of one mind and heart all supporting each other. She told me everyone who was successful went to it, and didn't occur to me that what I should have been listening for was that everyone who went to it was successful. But of course, M didn't say that because it wouldn't have been true. I went. I considered the cost and investment in my business. The conference fee alone was hundreds of dollars. I hoped to learn selling and closing techniques, how to reach that staircase others seem to have found, and the formula for turning cold calls into sales and new recruits. In parentheses, but actually I hadn't recruited a single person into my downline because I couldn't ask someone to take a chance on a venture that hadn't worked out yet for me. It turned out that my conference experience was very different from M's. There was a palpable expectation that I was as out of my skin excited to be there as the hardcore consultants were, but I was not. What I remember most was a huge concert stage surrounded by a stadium-sized room filled with thousands of white people and a few people of color, shrieking their enthusiasm for Arbonne. The unveiling of new products felt like a rock concert with the Beatles-level screaming for the new CC cream, never learned what that stood for, in parentheses, the new makeup shades, and everything else that was new. There was a hell of a lot of colored lights and loud music. The speakers told stories of their climbs from nervous beginners to white Mercedes driving successes. Everything was positive, positive, positive. I also remember with a wince when M gathered her downline, the people who she had recruited, in a hotel room to have us meet each other, share our whys, and give us gifts of encouragement. It was full of emotion, appreciation, some kind of morale boosting, and some kind of friendship, but it made me feel uncomfortable. I didn't know these white people. That's how I imagine she's saying it, or they're saying it, I don't know what they are. But white is in parentheses. I don't know these white people. That's right. There was an assumed intimacy because we all had made a commitment to Arbonne, but my commitment had nothing to do with loving my sister consultant and building friendships to last a lifetime. I joined to make money. When did the mushy and the positive end and the real training begin? It never did. The goal of the annual Arbonne conference was not training in entrepreneurship or professional support. I learned nothing there that turned my business around and brought the bucks flowing in. The goal of that conference seemed to be to fill us with confidence through the repeated messages, I did it and so can you. I believe in you. And I love you. What it did for me was convince me that I would never fit into Arbonne culture and I was done trying. Good for you, Regina. Fuck it up. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. Go. She clearly did not write that. From talking with M about how white the catalog models were, I learned that Arbonne was aware that it needed to integrate, that's my word, of course M used diversify. They knew they needed to add people of color to their catalog images, wanted more consultants of color, and at the conference I learned that they were adding a dedicated diversity expert to its international staff. This announcement had brought ear-splitting screams from the thousands of white people, of course, but it didn't impress me. If everyone in Arbonne was so focused on attracting more consultants of color, why hadn't anyone reached out to me, L, or T? Why hadn't anyone helped us find that staircase or develop tools to make up for our lack of connection? At the day-to-day level of interacting with the downline, neither M nor anyone else made sure the new consultants of color were happy with our new jobs. It was the same old revolving door I had become familiar with in graduate school, which I left in 1992. The focus was on getting people of color in the door, but once we were there, no one paid attention to how well we did or when we disappeared. T, L, and I all left Arbonne within a year of joining. At one point, I talked to M about the phrase, fine lines and wrinkles. I told her theirs were very white worries, and if Arbonne wanted to attract women of color, they should lay off that phrase. The women in my family get puffy and discolored as we age. Wrinkles, not so much. M had also never heard of having lips that are too big for the little skinny lipsticks Arbonne sold in 2014. We women with full, wide mouths have to... not full, wide mouth. We women with full, wide mouths have to run skinny lip applicators back and forth to get coverage, and it's just dumb. Arbonne was a $4,000 failure for me. But at least I got out after 5 months. Some women stay in MLMs for years, sinking into tens of thousands of dollars of debt. For too long, they believe the message that if I can do it, so can you. But I think it's more than that. M once told me that Arbonne, for her, was a source of friendship and spiritual support, and if that's true for many consultants, I understand why it's hard to leave. I've stayed for years in communities that offered me friendship and spiritual support because those things are lifelines. Few people prefer being without a spiritual practice, and fewer can live without friends. Maybe I should have known the nature of the organization when I first heard M talking not about selling Arbonne, but about joining Arbonne. Every time I've landed a job, my new supervisor has talked about joining the team or joining the staff, but not about joining the organization itself. People ask, how long have you been working at Target? Not, when did you join Target? The language of MLMs is the language of identity and tribe. You haven't joined a sales team, you've joined a community, and you are now watching out for each other, emotionally supporting each other, and believing in each other. Jane Marie in Season 1 of the Dream podcast points out that MLMs emerged from church communities and they retain many of the characteristics of that culture. There's an inside and an outside, and when you're inside, there's a set of beliefs and behaviors that are expected of you. In MLMs, positive thinking is practically doctrine, which creates the perfect manipulation recipe for the kind of people who join MLMs. They're told that if they believe in themselves, they'll succeed, and that if they haven't succeeded, then they haven't effectively believed. Many women hang on, trying to please their new community and prove their faith while they go bankrupt. Arbonne's conference planners are right. Selling techniques won't satisfy that membership as much as being told that others believe in them, support them, and love them. I had to leave Arbonne because I couldn't even pretend to engage in their positive thinking, and I certainly couldn't pretend warm feelings for strangers with whom I had nothing in common but a commitment to sell skincare products. Every so often, I come across an article or YouTube video that warns people against joining MLMs. There are plenty of reasons not to do it, but I haven't heard anyone yet talk about their whiteness and hypocrisy regarding race. I found that Arbonne wanted people of color to help widen their organization, but didn't make any room for us. The cultural alienation, relentless positive thinking, and assumed emotional intimacy were too much for me. And that's on top of the ridiculous business model designed for people with economic privilege. I never belonged in Arbonne, and I consider myself lucky to have only lost $4,000 to learn that because others lose so much more. Okay. What do we think about that? Well, I'm sorry. I would just like to say that, Regina, to you personally, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this happened to you. I'm sorry for all people who have been roped into an MLM, everyone who's losing money in an MLM, everyone who's being manipulated, gaslighted, taken advantage of, and just wrapped into this cult-like situation that they don't feel like they can get out of. If you are in an MLM, you can leave. Fuck those bitches. And just tell them to kiss your ass. They're not your friends, unfortunately. They only want you to so they can make money. And it is truly, doesn't it just sting a little bit more knowing that people in MLM, specifically like M, this person's upline, a white woman, and all of these other white women trying to expand, widen the organization by adding more diversity, aka these black women, knowing that they only want them in the business to make money from them. And there's just something about that adds a little bit of extra hurt, a little bit of extra pain. Just the exploitation of the black woman in general, of the exploitation of black labor. America doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't feel good, doesn't sit right, not fun, not happy, not cute, and it sucks, and it's ass. If you would like to see more information on MLMs, you can definitely go to the FTC website. I'll probably link it down below. Did you know that 99% of people who are in MLMs either lose money or make no money? And you do have to pay in, generally speaking, to be a part of the MLM, so that means lose money. So, yay. So, that's it. That's my story. I don't have anything else. This is Friday. I'm supposed to be having fun. I've got this little bun in. And it's just a lot. If you would like to see the full look, because I'm going to be serving them like a red boot moment too, make sure you follow my Instagram. I am at AnyaBrawnBeauty. On TikTok, I am at AnyaBrawnFoodie. We are getting close to 130,000 followers over there. So if you made it here, I love you. I hope the best for you in your life. Have a great day. Have a great life. Do what it is that you do and follow me for more. Bye.